Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesdays. We're very glad you're with us today. It is January 10th, 2023. Hope everybody had a safe and happy new year. Today happens to be our 600th workshop that we put on since COVID started. So thank you very much for being with us. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For those who are on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, just put them into the chat window. I'll be sure to get those questions asked for you. For those watching on Facebook, thank you for joining us. Please just enter your question in the comment field. I'm monitoring that feed and we'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Also, if you want to make connections with some people who you've maybe never met before, please go ahead and put your contact information into the chat window so you can connect with everybody on LinkedIn. That's what LinkedIn's all about, making connections with other people, because you never know who's going to be able to help you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org 14 years ago. In 2012, I started a second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I usually have copies with me. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007, and I'll tell you about our upcoming program that we're having this Friday at the end of the session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, also known as the PIC crew. Remember, your LinkedIn profile and your resume are not going to get you a job. What they get you is a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. Well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who talk about LinkedIn. They rotate through on a monthly basis. Today, our speaker is Locke Alderson. He's a career consultant, recruiting consultant. He's been hiring people for years and years. I'll let him tell you how many years he wants to admit to. And today, his topic is going to be how to use LinkedIn for job hunting, strategies to get results. So Locke, thank you very much for being with us. Happy New Year, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jeff. Again, I've been doing this for a few years. I've actually been a LinkedIn user since the late 90s when it first came out. Maybe it was 2000. I don't know how long it's been, but early on I was a LinkedIn user, and I've been doing this. Started my career in 67, retired in 2010, but starting in 2001, I started working as a volunteer with groups and people in job and career transition, and that's continued to today. So that's kind of my background. I'm honored to be brought back again. Jeff, you must think I'm doing something right. So we're going to try and share screen, and I think we've solved the technical problems. The program, I've divided it into 2 parts. Again, the first part is basically about LinkedIn and using it for job techniques. There's a second part of it that I'm not going to cover that's in the slide deck. If you want the slide deck, just ask it of me for lockealderson@gmail.com, and I'll send it to you, and that's in the presentation. So I'll try and go and share the screen. And we want this one, and I get it to come full screen. There we go. I'm going to shrink me, and I'll start the slideshow. But basically, that's what I wanted from the beginning. I think we've got it. There we go. You can see my bio there with Lehigh Harrison and Mullen International, 2 intermediate stops in career consulting on a paid basis. And I retired from Lehigh Harrison at the end of 2019. My last paycheck, because I'd had some surgery and health issues in 2019, was $15. So it wasn't quite worth to do it from a monetary standpoint, but I still enjoyed doing it from a personal standpoint. There's my email address. As I say, if you want the full slide deck, because I'm going to cover about 2/3 of it in this presentation, and then we're going to try and go live and take a look at some of your profiles and see if some people want to do some job hunting. So what is LinkedIn and what's it all about? Basically, it's your profile. What I want to cover today. your headline and open to work section, your dashboard, what that's about. There's some valuable information in your dashboard about who's looking for you and how you can go and find some people. Your about section is basically your summary section. Your professional work history and your skills and endorsements. Skills are vitally important because that's one of the key things that recruiters use to find people. How do you go about optimizing your profile so that you get found? Okay. How do recruiters actually do a search? And then searching for jobs, how we'll do that. The searching for people, the homework to do items will leave to you. I'm going to have to take a quick break, Jeff, and get my clicker. Put it online. We'll go from there. But LinkedIn is a search tool. Actually, got started as a networking tool for marketing and sales professionals. Again, they've used it for that period of time. Recruiters quickly found out that it was a valuable tool for them, and so they started using it as well. I'm almost there with my clicker, and we'll get that.
Once again, while Locke is getting everything set up here, if you'd like to put your contact information in, thank you, Anthony and Jane and Alexandra, for putting your information in. If you'd like to connect with everybody else who's on the call, you definitely should do so. Put in your contact information and then be sure to save the chat here.
It all starts basically with your profile and what that's all about and who you are. Your profile is kind of like your resume. The recruiters actually take a look at it and see you for about the first 10 seconds. The things that they see and looking at that is your picture, your headshot that's there right over here. Gotta go back. Your headshot, you see your name. So use your name, the name that you want to be called by. Actually, my name, legal name, and I had to sign it when we bought a car yesterday, is John Locke Alderson Jr. So, but I use the name that I'm called by. My dad was a John, and my son is John Locke Alderson III. So the headline that's there, you have about 220 characters that are there. If you don't put something in there, it's going to default to the last job title in the employment section. So you want to put that and find out who they are, because that's the thing that people are going to remember. That's what they're going to see when they look at, and they're going to click further. The open to work section, which is right there. Again, I don't have that. This is open to only to recruiters in this particular view. You can see what's there is important as well. Those are some of the things that you have. Okay, important thing that you want to know about your LinkedIn. There are a number of different sections on your LinkedIn, and what you want to do is make an effort to get them all completed so that you attain all-star status. And that's the top ranking. Again, and when a search is done, if you're an all-star, that's one of the key factors in getting you to the top of any search if you meet the criteria. Second thing, your professional headshot. Again, you want something that looks professional. You can do a selfie if you want, but make sure that there's no glare and it's straight and it's a headshot, not a body image. The background photo or banner photo that's in there, you can use it as I've done for trips to the Caribbean. Again, the latest one is on the Caribbean cruise that we took over the holidays. Again, you can do something like Jeff does and has more information, your contact information in that as well. Headline is the job title of the position you're applying for, or titles that you would consider. You can also consider the functional areas of your expertise, the industries that you're looking for, et cetera, and different ways that you can do that. But again, your headline, you have 220 characters to play with. That's basically 3 lines of text. Open to work under your headline. I talked to somebody last week and they didn't have that open. Again, I asked him why, and he said, well, I just haven't gotten to it. Well, that allows you to list at least 5 additional job titles that you can have. It also talks about areas if you're particularly interested in relocating and you're in Dallas and you're open to going to New York, this is where you emphasize that, because that's how people find you as well. The about section used to be called the summary, is an overview of your career. And you need to use keywords in that as well as skills for your profession, because that's how people search, is by keywords and by skills and by name and other criteria. The contact information is vitally important. I can't stress too much to have your first line of your contact information. Have your contact information in the first line of your about section, because if all they see on LinkedIn is you, how do they get in touch with you? If you're not open to connections and you're a 2nd or 3rd degree connection, there's no way that they can reach out to you except through somebody that you know and they know. Again, so you want to have it there. You can have it multiple places in your profile, but again, the top line of your about section is critically important. The experience section, you should have your job title. And if you have an unusual job title, use the one that's commonly recognized in industry, okay? Plus a description of your duties, and also include some of the results, because adding the results adds credibility to your experience. And keywords from your profession again. The keywords is vital to have it as many places as you can. Likewise, titles in as many places as you can. Skills from your profession and endorsements and your education awards and certificates. Again, don't just stop with a BS degree. If you've had continuation education courses like taking LinkedIn or something like Excel, those are classes that you want. If you've had particular awards, you can put them underneath the area where you received them or in a separate section for awards and professional development. What have you done to keep current in your career field? You know, I interviewed one candidate one time, and he had 25 years with one company. And the question I asked him, do you have 25 years of experience or 1 year of experience repeated 25 times? So it's critical that you show that in your professional development and career development, show progression in your career field. Any recommendations that you have, if you can get those, it's particularly good to have, particularly recent ones from your experience. Again, the candidate I talked to last week didn't have any current ones. He had from 2000, but nothing from his recent experience that he had. Again, you have 6 to 10 seconds to get my attention. You notice the things that are there. Again, in this particular one, I've got the open to work banner open from 9 to 5. Again, the background photo is of the Caribbean, as I mentioned, my name, my contact, or my headline, my contact information. My open to work is open to all LinkedIn members. This allows you to add that and 5 additional titles that you can work with. Because LinkedIn is a valuable tool, you want to make advantage of that, and that you're open to work. That's good as well. Let's take a look at some sample headlines. Nothing wrong with unemployed or retired. They're probably truthful, but they don't put the most positive light on you and your experience. Seeking new opportunity is a little bit stronger, but again, it doesn't give any qualifications. People can ask the question, so what? What do you do? What can you do for me? Formerly VP of Finance, yeah, it qualifies the individual. Is probably an executive in some type of financial application. But again, formally says he's not working now. There's a slight negative connotation to that. Experienced digital design engineer seeking a new opportunity, much stronger. Tells somebody what his background is, and he's open to new opportunities. Doesn't necessarily say that he's unemployed, but it says that he's looking for a new opportunity. Social media strategist, not self-explanatory. The digital and PR are opposed to the media that they work with. PR is public relations. Anybody who's recruited in this field, like a recruiter or a hiring manager, would know those things when they see that in a headline. Supply chain, procurement, and purchasing, very succinct and short. But again, it tells a story. If there's somebody's interested in any one of those areas, they could add something to that. And these titles were shortened just to get them all onto one screen. So that's something to be aware of. Senior accountant, again, GL is something that's recognized by most recruiters and financial people as general ledger, AR, AP, or other abbreviations that are readily recognized. CPA is another one. Executive assistant, there are about 40,000 executive assistants in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, having worked in career consulting with a number of executive assistants from some of the larger financial institutions. And somebody who's also had budgeting and event planning adds more experience. It narrows down the field from maybe 25,000 to maybe 1,500. IT project manager, Ireland Scrum Master, these are all buzzwords in the IT field. I would want to look further at this individual to get more information, at least to click one more time on their profile. General manager, manufacturing, aerospace, again, very succinct, but very definitive in terms of what the individual's background and experience are. LinkedIn uses that kind of experience. Again, where's the power of LinkedIn headlines? This is a very powerful tool, and that may be the only thing that they recognize and remember you by. Recruiters prefer someone who has done the job before, so they'll target specific job titles. Use the traditional titles, as I mentioned, for the work that you've been doing. Don't use those exotic titles. I know at one point, Libby Sartain, I guess, was the people manager, director of people at Southwest Airlines. Again, that's another name for human resources. Again, but that was some 20 years ago that she had that title. You can also do some things like this is a headline generator. It's included if you ask for the slides. You can add adjectives to describe more to you. You can have several titles and what value you bring in examples. Let's take a look at how we did that I did that with my headline. This was an early headline that I have. You notice it's very short, about 2 lines. There's about 70, maybe 75 characters there. I beefed it up using the techniques from that skills table and added a few things to that. Accomplished recruiting consultant, successful executive recruiter, highly skilled technical and professional recruiter, contract recruiter, sought after speaker. Again, more descriptive and more indicative of the things that I have done and can do. So those are some things that can make it better for you. And you can do that as a rating that you can check out headlines at sharethrough.com. That's headlines.sharethrough.com and test your headline to see how it ranks out. But again, carrying the headlines a little bit further, here are some additional ones. Increasingly productive and highly regulated industries. Again, something like utilities. Again, creative through effective strategies, increase sales. He's just not marketing, but he's had an impact on sales. Specialize in the expansion of the international sector in aerospace. Somebody that's big, that's probably narrowed it down to maybe 12, 15 companies that would look at that particular background. Customer relations, IT project manager, able to explain high tech to customers. Having worked in high tech, where we had people we were working with that kind of thing, anybody that could explain that to customers, what our product did was very valuable. Anybody who could talk to the customer and find out what they did and relate it back to our technical people was likewise important. Business analyst, bridge the gap, again, techies and management, something that's very vital. And a full stack applications developer. Again, titles that you can, headlines that get people's attention because that's what's remembered. That's what shows up on your screen, that thing that we talked about. Your LinkedIn dashboard and features section, the analytics, or they used to be called your dashboard, has a number of things that you can see. The profile views that you've had in the last week, the posting views, and the number of search appearances that you have. This is a key one that you're looking for, and we'll show you what happens when you click on search appearances in just a second. I want to take a look at your featured section, and you can include things like, here are the presentations that I've had over the last few years. I've got to update this section to more recent presentations, but you can also add your resume in this section. If you have what's called a reel, my son is a motion graphics designer, includes that there. You can include a portfolio if you have one like that, and people can look through that to know more about you and what your experience is capable of doing. Here's clicking on the search appearances. Again, it will show the keywords that the recruiters use. In my case, recruiter, they may be looking for a recruiter to help them find a job, or they may be looking for a recruiter for their company. So again, it makes a difference on keywords, but these are the different keywords that were entered into their searches to find people. And likewise, these are where those searches work. And for people that are looking for jobs, again, those may be companies that have jobs that for your kind of experience, even though they may not have a current job opening. So that could be added to the list of target companies that you had. Something worth taking a look at. It's one of those options that is available to you. Let's take a look further at the About section now. Again, the About section, this is a little bit longer than I normally recommend for people. Again, it has the contact information right there at the top. Again, it's highlighted, it's used bold and regular text to highlight certain information about a senior financial planning and analysis individual. Again, FP&A is a recognized recruiter term, but when you do use an acronym like that, spell it out the first time that you use it if it's not a more readily recognized one like MBA or CPA. Again, talks about the details of somebody, what they've done in that kind of an area. Again, I normally recommend that you have 3 to 5 lines with the text and then some bulleted accomplishments underneath that for each different area to break it up so that it's not all the same type of thing and keeps people's attention longer. Our attention spans are pretty short. So you want to keep them engaged and involved in looking at your profile. Here's some other examples. Again, using the I first person, you can use third person or third person. I'm grateful to a partner. Again, used to keep up competencies, another way to say things. And here's, I'm talking about them. Normally, I would recommend these kind of things because there's nothing to go with it. I'm strategic, creative, hands-on marketer. but there's nothing to substantiate that. Again, but in doing a summary, you can do that and add more information about that. Well, that's about summaries. Let's take a look at the experience section. Again, you want to have your job title, the company name and dates, your duties and responsibilities. Again, limit the description to about 3 to 5 lines and bulleted areas of accomplishments. If the company is not particularly well known, you may want to include a tagline under the company name of 1 line to describe what the company did. But this is a job description where I was with Oracle Corporation. It's limited to 3 lines. I've got a couple of bulleted accomplishments here that you notice. I also tucked in when I retired from Oracle back in 2010, the director of recruiting sent an email and I just happened to include that in here because it adds credibility to what I've said and what I do. The other things that you can add, this is something new that LinkedIn has added in the last 6 months or so. You can add volunteer experience, publications, patent projects, and so forth. The one that you may want to include is you have a lot of project experience. There's a sheet for adding projects as well. But if you're unemployed, the most important thing that you can do is to add a current position. Again, that starts out with the current dates that you have. What's the title that you're looking for? Software applications developer. You're looking for a type of employment full-time. If you're searching for an opportunity in particular, rather than a company, particular industry that you might include there. And the location allows you to identify a location like that. And you can also add the descriptive duties as well on something of that nature. But having a current position in there adds to your credibility. Again, counts towards search criteria. Remember, I mentioned each section that's filled out on LinkedIn profile adds credibility toward you getting you to the all-star status. And you're more likely to get connection requests, profile views, and more messages from people. I think I included the project screen. Yeah, this is one that you can add a project on. And again, to fill that in, the name of the project, the dates, the months, year, the type of project, and the associated with and URL, et cetera, and a description that you can include. Adds more information. A lot of the IT resumes that I looked at when I was Oracle and Siebel Corporation were people who were contractors in the IT industry. So they had a lot of their projects, described a lot of the things that they'd done, the hardware and software that they work with, and their role and responsibility on the project. Let's move on to the skills and endorsements section. You notice that is something that you can add. While it may not seem intuitive, the list of your skills in this section is not enough to get you highly ranked in searches. Those skills need to be found also in the work experience, headline, summary sections as well. Those are more heavily weighted than just the skills section. As you go to add skills, you can see that you can add a skill, type something in. If you start to type it in and it isn't a recognized skill by LinkedIn, they'll let you know that that's not one that you can use. But you can just go here and right click on your mouse on that, and it will add that skill to your doing that. Another thing about skills, LinkedIn will select the 3 skills for you if you don't select accordingly. Again, so you can go about changing that. Notice these skills now, they've integrated something so that you can use the skills will show up where you've gotten those skills, what companies use those for. But these 3 dots up here, if you were to click on those 3 dots, which is the next screen, it'll bring up a screen that says reorder your skills. And by holding your cursor over here and pushing down and drag and drop those. So I could drag executive search down to the bottom and professional recruiting back up to the top. So you can reorder those 3 skills because those are the first skills that show up on when somebody looks at your profile. Again, they have to click see more to see the others that you want to have. Okay. One of the things that you want to take a look at is take a look at other people's profiles. And you might ask the question, well, why do I want to look at other people's profile? Well, one reason is to see what are the verbiage that they're using. You can also see when you look at other profiles, when you do a search for a recruiter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area under people, again, you can do jobs. And when you've done jobs, there'll be a down arrow and it'll have over people as one of those drop-down menus. But when you do a people search for a recruiter, there's about 26,000, maybe 28,000 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And if I did that and I didn't show up in the first 3 or 4 screens, I need to work on my profile. One of the ways that you can do that is to pop open, say, Christina's, and look at some of the words that are in her descriptive area, in particular skills area, and also her about section, and also her work experience. What are the words that she's using there? and you can use some of those words in your own profile. Let's move on and we'll take a look at searching. I want to measure my time. How does LinkedIn run searches? How do recruiters actually search? And what are some of the results that they get? Again, we're going to skip the job alerts and the filters and try and take a look at some of your profiles as well. The recruiter searches. LinkedIn, as I mentioned, gives a value for every part of your profile. It also gives a value for your activity on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn daily, that adds more value in that particular section. Your ranking is based on the sum of the values, and the higher the scores in a search, different search area, if they're searching for a different criteria, will show up toward the top of the recruiter's list of topics. A job match is an exact match between your title and the job that they're looking for. Current job, previous jobs, and your headline. Keywords, do they match up? And they're vital. Skills are important as well. Other things, they may be looking for specific companies or industries, and we'll take a look or search. It's for the Seattle area and the industries there that are geographically specific. Open to work. Again, recruiters like easy, low-hanging fruit. So if you're open to work, means that you're not necessarily going to say no when the recruiter contacts you. I know when I started in recruiting, I took some retraining, started recruiting for myself. With my own recruiting firm, I took some training, and one of the tapes that I listened to, yes, tapes, old cassette tapes. One of the tapes that I had said that if you're going to make 25 placements a year, that's basic 2 a month, okay, which is not a bad total. Again, if you're going to make 2 a month, you're going to probably make about 5,000 calls, and maybe 4,000 of those calls are no, I'm not interested. So again, it's a numbers game. So that's what you're trying to accomplish. All-star status, first and second degree connections. These are all the values, the things that LinkedIn values in searches. Well, let's take a look at what recruiters actually look for. Again, keywords. These are the words that recruiters actually look for. And job titles, past, present, headline, open to work, about, and employment sections. Your skills, specific industries, education, location, and current companies. Again, certain companies are priorities. I was interviewing for a recruiting manager position with a high-tech company here in Dallas, and they wanted individuals that had worked for specific companies. They wanted people who had a specific education. They'd had an MBA from a top business school in the United States. Having attended University of California in Berkeley, I think that qualifies on some of the list of top schools in the country. But those are just some of the things, the ways that recruiters search. Well, let's take a look. This is a sheet that Kurt Vandemotter uses. He has LinkedIn search capability. He has paid for that license, and it allows him to search. Again, in his case, he has access to actually it's over 800 million candidates right now on LinkedIn. 170 million of those are in the United States. But there's 3 screens of data that he can input. And you notice job titles, locations, skills, and companies, schools. These are the keywords that they can search on. He can narrow that 710 million down to probably 70 within about, depending upon his search criteria, within about 30 seconds after he clicks enter button on his recruiter. So those are things to remember about how recruiters actually conduct a search. Let's take a look at some of the results from a recruiter search. This particular one was for accountants in the United States. As far as a recruiting standpoint, this is far too broad a search because it is not very specific. And because of that, it identified about 4,281,000 people. I would not do a search like that. That'd be a waste of time. Again, without adding some of these other factors that are down the side here. So let's take a look at another search. Again, this one was for a product manager in the Seattle area. Again, they would take to a senior product manager. Okay, but again, they're also looking for the skills: product management, product marketing, competitive analysis. Companies that they were looking for with these 3 are headquartered in Seattle: Fluke Corporation, Amazon, and Microsoft. Again, those are the companies. They also would consider education or schools from the University of Washington, which is there in Seattle. That particular search drew about 6,900 in the total number of candidates. Have a company connection, people that are following your particular company. This is something that you can do. You can follow people and you can follow companies. And following a particular brand so that you get product information when the company turns out product information on the internet. so that you can follow that. This is for a project manager in Chicago. Again, a much broader search. It drew about 43,000 candidates, but only 83 of them were open to new opportunities. As a recruiter, that's what I would probably jump on first. Those are the candidates I want to look at first because they're open to hearing a pitch. Okay, they were open to, they was greater Chicago area, but they would consider candidates from San Francisco or from New York. They were looking for business strategy in addition to a product manager and analysis. Again, these are some of the other criteria that they use. They also tossed in Northwestern, which is there in the Chicago area, just north of Chicago. So that's how a recruiter actually search what it actually looks like. Let's take a quick look at searches for jobs, and maybe we can take a look at searching for jobs for you. When you click on the jobs tab, or you can just on the general search box that's there, you can enter a title there, and it will allow you to tell you whether you're looking for jobs or people, etc. But when you use the jobs tab, there's two search boxes with the jobs title and the search location. If you enter something, excuse me, my touchpad is very sensitive. Okay, if you do that in the search jobs, if you enter a title, that's what you want. If you don't enter a location and have not done a prior search, it's going to default to the United States. So you want to also enter a location the first time that you do it. Well, let's take a look at one that I did for a senior accountant here in Plano. Again, the default setting on that is for 25 miles. Again, there were 144 candidates. One of the things that you want to do is to limit the number, use some of the filters with a date posted, which is one of the filters as you can have. I truly recommend that you limit your searches to the last 7 days unless you have a highly specialized career field that you're working in where there are not a lot of people in that particular field for you. Health and safety engineers, environmental safety engineers is one that I work with. There are not a lot of those in the whole country. There may be a couple of thousand in the whole country rather than just a couple of thousand in the Dallas area. So senior accountant, it gives you the title, but it also gives over here, and it notices because I'm in the Texas A&M network, there are 5 alumni from that company who work at that company. So those are possible contacts for information about that company. The description is here. There's an easy apply button here that you can do and do that. But let's take a look at the filters tab. This is an old screen for that. I like it because it's all on one screen. And now it's usually about the right 1/3 of a page or 1/3 of a screen. But the filters, which is something that they've adopted to make your searches easier. I mentioned having a search for the last week because our original search had 2,000 candidates. Again, by last week, it narrows it down to jobs, that is 634. You can limit by salary. This is something they added about, I want to say about 2 years ago and picked that up from Indeed.com. Now, that's just not the most accurate salary survey that's available, but it gives some idea where that job ranks. Again, if you're looking for jobs above 100,000, it would narrow it down from 2,000 to 83 to take a look at. Easy apply is a button. If it allows you to upload a resume, I would say go ahead because you can tailor a resume to the specific job, whereas your LinkedIn profile is pretty much cast in concrete. But otherwise, if it doesn't allow you to include a resume, it will limit you to using your profile to apply for that job, which may not be the best representation of you. You can also search by industry. You can search by a specific company name. You can search by location. Even though I looked for Dallas County, again, I may be looking for jobs in Carrollton, in Richardson, and in Garland, okay? The number of full-time jobs. Most of the jobs on LinkedIn are going to be full-time, but there are people that are looking for contract gigs or part-time positions or internships for students that are in graduate programs. I know SMU, between the first and second years of the MBA, they have internships for the summer. So that's something that somebody would use. Temp positions that you may be looking for, positions like that, and volunteer. And you can now add volunteer experience as one of those sections on your profile if you want to have a whole section of that. My volunteer experience is listed as full-time positions because I consider them full-time kinds of work. With that, I'm going to move to one last screen. This is the homework section for you. Again, you want to complete each section of your profile. Use the name that you want to be known by. Make it easier for that recruiter or hiring manager when they reach out to call you by name. It makes the conversation start a little easier. The headline or job titles, again, use as many as you can. And if you don't use a headline or fill in the headline section, it's going to default to your last job then that in your employment section. And that may not be what you're looking for. Complete the open to work section. If you're looking for a job, you want to let people know that you're open to work. If you're currently working and not looking for a job openly, you might want to limit it to just recruiters, and that option is available. Do include your phone number and your email in the first line of your about section. Make it easy for people to contact you. Your experience section, again, include the job titles, your duties, and measurable results. They add credibility to your experience. Keywords from your profession, skills, the ones from your profession. If you don't know what those are, look at some of the job postings that you're interested in and pull off some of the requirements. Those are the skills that they're looking for in many cases. Do a people search on yourself, okay, and find out if you're available. Jeff, I'd like to shut it down a little bit and go back to that.
Well, we've got a couple questions here before we start with the second part of what you want to do. Melissa asked, what are your thoughts on the video feature that is now available? Rather than a static headshot, a video headshot can be made.
The people at Who Do You Know, you know who I'm talking about. You've been a speaker there, I think, Jeff. They advocate a video, using video messages like that. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm more old school. But again, they say after you practice in a 1-minute video is a good introduction that you can use. Okay. And I think you have to remember certain things like, you want to be looking professional. Like Jeff has got a polo shirt on, and one picture he's got a suit and open neck shirt on the other. Again, one would be one that I would have to use. For ladies, it's kind of the same thing. Chick has got on a picture of him in a coat and tie. Those are the kinds of things. When you appear that, remember that you can be dressed from a coat and tie and shirt from the waist up. You can wear shorts and bunny slippers below that in pictures like a video interview kind of thing. But anything like video or video interviews or Skype conversation, they're all new technologies. It shows you're more up to date with things that are there. So
yeah, I wasn't aware of that, and I did a little research while I saw the question to go find out. Apparently, you can record a video message between 3 and 30 seconds. You have to use the mobile app apparently to do it on. You can't use a desktop. If the viewer, if you or I happen to be having in our settings that we don't want to see videos, you would not be able to, the video would not appear. So there's a few nuances with it. If you're interested in doing that, just be very, very careful. All right, we have another question here. Let's see here. Lauren asked, is premium worth it?
I'm sorry?
Is the premium account for LinkedIn worth it?
I don't particularly think it is, but that's a personal opinion. Again, I tried it once, and if you don't have a lot of connections, it may be worthwhile, because what the basic advantage of premium, it allows you to send multiple in-mails, which is their version of email. So you can contact people directly that are second and third degree connections. Again, I tried it for 28 days and discontinued it. If you don't discontinue it, they will bill you for it.
All right. Yeah, and I use the free version, because quite frankly, if you're trying to reach somebody, if you can't, you have to be a first degree connection to see their contact information. That's why Locke and everybody recommends put your contact information in the about section so everybody can see how to reach out to you. If you look at my profile, you see that I've actually put my phone number and my email address up into my banner photo, just so that anybody would be able to go and find me. All right, another question here. Let's see here. Alexandra asked, do you recommend a hyperlink in the about section? For example, a hyperlink for an email for direct contact. I'll answer that one. You can put down, your email address, but the problem is it won't be a hyperlink. I think that LinkedIn removes all especially in the about section, removes hyperlinks. And if you put a hyperlink in a post, they convert it to one of their LinkedIn hyperlinks so that people won't be able to really see exactly where they're going. So, most people, if they're going to connect with you, go ahead and put in your email address, put in, if you have a website, put that down in your about section. But just remember that for the most part, I'm going to highlight, copy, and then paste it into a web browser. All right, Locke, go ahead. That's all the questions we've got so far.
I do have up my profile is pictured on the screen now, Jeff.
Yes, we got it.
We worked the technology out. After 2.5 years, I finally figured it out. Okay. Well, I wanted to show a little bit of, I mentioned here's that featured section. If I will go to the about section, again, there's the first 3 lines that are shown. Let's connect, and I have my email address. I don't put my phone number because I'm not interested in phone calls. I'm not actively job seeking. I am open to connections. But what you're looking to do is to get people to click on see more. And again, I'm only click on see more just to show you the different types of formality. Again, these are 3 and 4 line statements. Again, some of the experience I've had, some of the speaking engagements and teaching engagements that I've had, okay? But a different format. You can use dashes or you can use bullets. Again, I think the editor in LinkedIn formerly didn't have bullets, so you can cut and paste that in. These are some other things this is for the search capability, the other types of recruiting assignments that I've done, and speaking and consulting assignments, career consultant. Again, this areas of specialty are skills. There's no commas in it. And there's some repeats of that. And those are repeats are designed to get those words, higher word count, if you will, for words like career or consultant or recruiter. Okay, that's how you can do that. And again, you can do that. The activity section. Change things around on me, Jeff. I don't know. Okay, the other thing that I'll show on some of those, on some of the experience, like my Oracle experience, again, I have to show because my Oracle experience is some time ago. But some of the things that you can do under the job description, these are some of the areas of expertise, just how you're presenting things to do that. There's a highlight there, the terms of my time at Lehigh Harrison. The number of candidates I work with, about almost 70%, we ended up getting new positions. Okay. But here's my Oracle experience. Because they were they acquired Siebel. Okay. Those two are linked. Oracle experience and the Siebel experience are actually linked, and LinkedIn will do that for you. The other area, go ahead. I want to take a look now at some people. If we have anybody that wants to take a look at do a job search, we'll be happy to do that.
So in the chat window, just tell us a company that you're interested, or a job title that you'd be interested in us looking for. Looking for a job title. A vendor recruiter.
I'm sorry, vendor recruiter?
Yes.
It's an unusual one. They're looking for. Notice I entered this in the normal search activity. It does not like my spelling. Okay. So we'll change that to recruiter and see all results. Now that brought up people. Again, this particular search, we can look and see if it's that, but if we wanted to go to jobs, vendor recruiter in the United States, there were only 2 that were listed. Okay, so that's a very narrow field, but these may be available for hybrid type work situations. And this one says that it is. Okay, this one wants somebody on site. So this one that's hybrid, they're looking for somebody that's bilingual, is out of Ohio. Okay. And that's telling you what the salary level is on that, and gives the information on that. But that's a good example of several things. One, hybrid activities that you can show there as well. Okay. Does somebody want to take a look at another job, or let's take a look at somebody's resume?
We've got another job. How about a national sales manager?
Okay. And notice that it went to the United States. Okay.
Whoop, you got to back up. There we go. There you go, fifth one down.
Now, one of the things, because I clicked off that list, it went to the United States. So if they're interested in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, go back to the,
Lauren, how about Lauren's in the Atlanta area? So why don't we put in Atlanta? There, you've got an extra S, there you go. There we go.
okay, notice again, we have several choices there from the drop-down menu. I'm gonna choose the metro area rather than just that particular situation. Okay, in this particular case, there's 1,700 things. One of the things I recommended, again, all filters is over here at the column, but I'm gonna go, well, let's take a look at that one quickly and sort by past 24 hours. Let's do the past week just to show it, narrowed it down from 1,700 to 670. Okay, then because she's looking for a national sales level experience, let's take a look at one of the tabs over there. Let's say mid-senior and director level. Again, it narrowed it further. But if we go to all filters, some of the other things that you can select is by company. You can type, okay, well, let's say full-time. And whether you're working remote or hybrid. Specific locations, so if she was in the northeast corner of Atlanta, maybe Alpharetta. On the northwest corner, something else. Marietta, I think, is a northwest corner.
Yeah,
She
so
can
do
choose by
Alpharetta. Yeah,
huh?
go ahead and select Alpharetta,
Okay,
because that's what, yep. Next one down. Oop. There you go. So
okay.
7 in that area.
It narrowed it from 17, what do we have, 1,700 to 7 jobs, just by doing it by that. Now, if you don't like that, I'll move Jeff out of the picture. You can go to reset, and reset will basically take us back to National Sales Manager Atlanta. Okay, so again, by doing that, again, there's that easy apply filter. But all the filters, again, I stress the past week because a lot of times the job that'll be posted, you may have clicked on a job where you found it and then go back later in the day and this position is no longer available, or they've taken down a posting. So that's something that you could do on that as well. Somebody else want to take a look at a resume or take a look at a job?
We've got one where somebody else put in a job, CR put in a job. She's looking for a diversity inclusion coordinator
Okay.
in the Dallas area.
Okay, I'm just going to include diversity inclusion because it's a very specific field. I'm not going to include just the coordinators because I want to look at other jobs as well that they may be of interest in. Okay, and because I didn't change it, it's Atlanta area. So I'm going to go here and go Dallas. But one of the things you got to know about that is that there is a Dallas, Georgia. So you need to be careful about that. Okay, so there's 633 jobs with the word diversity in the title. So again, the experience level, I'm going to say those two, and I'm going to say the past week. And I'm going to show the results. It took it from 6, cut it in half. But again, a lot of those jobs have diversity in the title, somewhere in the body of the posting. But senior enterprise architect, that's a senior IT kinds of job. So we're going to have to use additional filters.
You know what, let's try, put quotes around diversity inclusion.
Okay, that's something else. That's adding.
So that would be called a,
Boolean operator.
So now it's down to 2,000, yeah, 2,100. So somewhere in the, all right, so go back to the search box again. Go back to diversity inclusion, and then after the quote, space, and do a capital A, capital N, capital AND. Space, and now type coordinator. And now let's see what happens.
I'm gonna take it.
I need to click on search again. Oop. Yeah, it took it down to 377. So now you're getting down to,
More manageable. But again, by checking on filters like that is something that you can.
oop, what happened here? You lost yours. There we go.
Okay, but one of the other filters that you want to probably going to want to use in that particular area is to do an industry-wide. So if somebody's looking particular industry like healthcare or hospitality, those allow you to narrow the field. Let's click hospitality and took it down to 5 jobs. Okay, so by adding additional filters, you can narrow the search down pretty drastically. Okay, can we take a look at somebody else's profile?
All right, if you want us to look at your profile, let us know, and we'll be glad to look at your profile. Lauren, Lauren, Lauren. Last name is Simon, Simon. No, Simon, Sim.
ON?
Simon. S is in Sam.
Sorry, Laurie.
Whoops, let's see here. Lauren, which one would you be? First one, second one? All right, she says you need to put a middle name in there. Add tenor, Terner.
TEN?
Terner. There we go. There she is.
Okay, you don't have a background photo that or headline. You don't have to do that. Canva does that. Accomplished senior sales executive entrepreneur. Right here, this little thing right there, this backspace mark, sales executive entrepreneur. You're not going to be found as an executive or an entrepreneur anywhere. You've got to leave a space between executive and entrepreneur before executive space, /space, entrepreneur. Otherwise, you won't be found in a search for an executive or an entrepreneur. Okay, that's another thing that you need to be aware of. Again, you've used about 80 characters. You have 220 to play with. Something else. Let's search something else. Because we are not connected, she's done one thing here that I recommend. If you're doing that, she's added her email address. It makes it easier to connect with her. Okay. A lot of people don't have that. Okay, so let's look a little bit down. She has the open to work. See all the details. One of the things about being open to work, if she were looking outside, she's interested in Atlanta metro area, Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. She has other titles that she's used. She started actively looking. She's looking for full-time and contract kind of positions. Okay. Which is good. Let's look a little bit further. The about section. Again, even though your contact information is there with your email, put your contact information on the first line. Notice I have to click see more, and it still don't have the contact information there. So if we're not directly connected, the likelihood of additional clicks make it more difficult for people to reach out to you.
In that about section, you have 2,000 characters. You don't have to use all 2,000, but you definitely want to have 500 to 1,000 and tell somebody why they should reach out to you, what you can do, how you can help them.
Okay. But the other thing that, okay, she's in a travel service agency. One of the things that I would add in your headline up here, I would add the words hospitality. I would have travel. Those would also be buzzwords in your highlight. You can use a pipe character, which is above the backslash, just above the enter key on your keyboard. It's a shift key. And again, a space before and after the pipe character, a space before and after the backslash key. But having travel and hospitality in your headline up there, again, you want to have that as many places as you can. Travel. What are other words for the travel agency industry? Have you worked with different kinds of things? Corporate account, access line.
Let's click on see more and see what else she has there.
I would make this 80% client retention. Those are kind of things I would use a bullet or an asterisk with, make them stand out a little bit. This is all text that you look at. Think about how you read those kinds of things. 1 million in terms of million, one with the zeros, 6 zeros after it has a lot bigger impact. 75% of sales. Again, anytime you mention dollars or percentages, you can use those, they tend to stand out. Again, your descriptive here for these 2 years. Okay, not very descriptive. Okay. Follow the capability. What did you accomplish there? What were the results? What was the impact of your work at Access Line or BCI Comore? Okay. Well, if there are other fields of interest that you have, key account sales. Okay. Our national sales. Okay, you mentioned national sales manager. I don't see national sales manager in your headline anywhere. Or it's here in your open to work. Mention it in multiple places. Again, that's what those titles are, what are added, those values add up in each section where you have that. Okay. I think we have time for one more, Jeff.
Yeah, well, we've got a good question here. Somebody says, how do you show that you're open for remote roles?
Okay, when you click on the open, let's go back to my profile. Real quick. And I click my open to work section. Okay. Okay. Here are the titles that I'm open to. There's remote. Locations is here's the multiple locations.
Yeah, so if you're open for remote roles, just click on where it says remote and that'll highlight it, and then people will go and see, you know, and then down below it gives you job locations for remote. So you have on-site locations. You can also say remote locations. If you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see it opened up a new field where you're open to list remote locations. That's something new that they just started.
These other bulleted items over here, these are new too. The start date and flexible, those are something new. Okay. And if I'm only interested in contract, not full-time or part-time, those are things that you can identify are temporary.
Right.
And you hear the other thing that I mentioned is who sees you're open to. Okay. I'm not going to include that in my profile. So I'm going to go back and because I don't want to include those.
Right. Well, Locke, thank you very much for your time. We're hitting the top of the hour here. Let me just share a few more slides with everybody. If you'd like to get a copy of Locke's presentation, just send him an email, lockealderson@gmail.com. If you want to connect with Locke, send him a personal note. My rule of thumb is, and you'll see here in just a second, if you want to connect with me or Locke or anybody, you should always send a personal note. Let us know why we want to connect with you.
There are about a dozen slides that I did not go over today, and there are how do you go about using it for networking. Terry Sullivan does an excellent job about that, so I've reduced down the number of slides that I try and cover, but they're here in my presentation. If you want the whole presentation, just ask for it and I'll send it to you. Well, Jeff, thanks for having me. You're back to you talking about LinkedIn Promise.
Right, LinkedIn Promise. So what I need everybody to do is please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. You can always send a personal note, cell phone, computer, laptop, tablet. You can always do that. When you see a white connect button, if you click on a white connect button, it will automatically send a generic invitation. So whenever you see a white connect button, click on the person's face and you'll see a blue connect button. When you see that blue connect button, you can always connect with or send a personal note with a blue connect button. Career DFW, Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. We're back on full force now after taking off the last couple of weeks. Today was presentation number 600. Tomorrow will be number 601. And we're going to talk about how to survive behavioral interviews. Our speaker is going to be Paul Walsh. He's a behavioral interview specialist. We'll talk all about how to do that. Then on Thursday, being the second Thursday of the month, we'll talk about networking, how to take the chill out of cold calls. And that'll be with Bob Maher. Many of you may know Bob. He used to run a networking program in the DFW area called Career Pilot on Thursday morning. So he'll be presenting this Thursday. This Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, we'll talk about open forum. We'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about in your job search. And you can offer your opinions and suggestions to anybody who has questions or comments. We are meeting in person. We'd really encourage you to get out of the house, put on some pants, come join us in person, but we will be on Zoom or Facebook Live for those people who don't live in the DFW area. If you'd like to join the Career DFW or Career USA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to join one or both. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join the Career DFW group. We have over 14,300 members. So this is a great way to expand your connections, to be able to connect with other people. And I will tell you this, probably 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 15 people who join, they're in HR, they're recruiters, and they join the group because they're trying to find you. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook. If you follow us on Facebook, every time we go live, your phone will give you a little buzz. On our career, if you subscribe to our Career USA YouTube channel, if you happen to miss one of our sessions, you'll find out when we've uploaded a new video. On the Career USA YouTube channel, it looks something like this. Be sure to click on playlist because I have over 400 plus videos out there. But by clicking on playlist, it cuts it down to one of 7 different lists that are there. Then down below, don't click on the video, but click what says view full playlist, and up come a list of all the different dates and topics and titles. And the current one should always be on top. Otherwise, just click on the little sort button and you'll be able to see the most current video, and you can watch it at your convenience and start and stop and go modify your profile, whatever it is you need to do. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, if you happen to find out about us just by looking at one of our websites, just send an email to Career USA, the +subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spammed, but what you will get is every day, you'll get the topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. That way you can just click on the link and you can join us online. So please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. All of our speakers are volunteer. Locke's a volunteer. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 14 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So, please consider making a donation when you get your next job. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. We're very glad you're with us today, and hopefully we will see you later in the week.